All right, what is going on, Laker fans? Thank you very much for tuning in. Late night post game show tonight, just an audio only version. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Was not able to do a live show today, so just wanted to make sure I had some content that came up. Give my thoughts about the game. I know some people tune in specifically just for the post game show or just want the full Lakers content. So I still want to make sure I provided that for you, but was not able to go live tonight. So this will be a kind of a shortened version post game show, but we'll try to get everything in that I think you guys want to hear about. 111-88 final score. Lakers over the Wizards. They play the worst team in the NBA. I think I'm going to actually double check something here real quick, but I'm almost 100% sure that they have the worst record. I know 100% it's in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, Utah's got 10. Not even close. Not even close. Washington, 6 wins on the season. They're 1-18 on the road. They won, if I'm correct here, their first game of the year on the road they won. They've lost every other game on the road since then. They've lost 11 games in a row. Truly the worst team in the league. But good timing for the Lakers because they needed a win and they needed to try to make themselves feel somewhat better about their situation or that loss from Sunday night when they played in Inglewood against the Clippers. So we'll spend a little time, obviously talking about some of the positives from the game. I'll spend just a kind of a brief moment here on what the hell is the Washington Wizards. I really do feel like tomorrow you can hire my dumbass to run the Wizards, and I could probably run them better. I have no idea what that franchise is, where that organization's going, so we'll spend a little bit of time on that. I think overall, as we just kind of go through some of the top storylines, it's a game where you can't really take too much from, but you needed a win. So however you can get it, I think this Lakers team, obviously they just got to start feeling better about themselves. I'm not telling you that they're going to feel like they're unstoppable because they beat the Washington Wizards on January 21st. But what I think I can tell you is they just needed to see a W. Speaking of some players I'm going to get into in tonight's game, spent a little more time probably on Dorian Finney-Smith. He had a nice game tonight that he needed off the bench, 22 minutes, had 16 points. I'll also talk a little bit about from the worst team in the NBA to, in my opinion, I don't care what the records say, the best team in the NBA. That's who the Lakers got next. That's going to be the Boston Celtics. And then last thing I want to get into a little bit later, too, is what do we think about Jonas Valanciunas? Got a chance to see him tonight. Would he be the right fit for the Lakers if they are to go out there and make another trade? So we'll get into all that. Thank you for being a part of the post-game show. Please subscribe to the channel if you've yet to subscribe to the channel. And just a quick reminder, I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Talking more Southern California sports. Okay. Had to win the game, in kind of a funny way. There was kind of pressure on the Lakers tonight because can you imagine if they lost to the Wizards, a team that's in complete disarray, 6-36 on the season. I mentioned it had lost 11 games in a row. This was one of those games for the Lakers where you just had to take control from the get-go and make sure that this wasn't going to be a game, and they really did. I mean, end of the first quarter, they were only up 6, but it was fine. Nobody was kind of worried about the game or anything like that. I know there was one point Lakers went up 11, and I want to say I don't know if Washington went on an 8-0 run, but they got it all the way down to 3. JJ Redick called timeout, and then from that moment on, Lakers had pretty much a comfortable lead. I want to say up 10 by the time you got to halftime, 12 going into the fourth quarter, and then they just took over in the fourth quarter there where I outscored them 22-11. So it was never really a game, not really too much to point out from that perspective. If I start looking at some of the individual players out there, solid night for AD, 29 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, also had 4 block shots, 14-22 from the field. Bron gave you a triple-double, 21, 13, and 10, 8 of 18 from the field. Austin Reeves, not good numbers as far as his stats go, 4 of 15 from the field, just 1 of 8 from the three-point line. By the way, Bron, I will point out, had 5 turnovers, so certainly not taking care of the ball there. But Reeves, like I mentioned, struggled from the field, did end up with 16 and 8. But the player that I really do want to talk about from an offensive perspective, this morning I was doing my show and I was talking a little bit about, all right, what does it look like for the Lakers as they look at, that trade that had just gone down between the Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. And, obviously the Lakers will get Dorian Finney-Smith, D'Angelo Russell goes out. I had some really high expectations for Dorian Finney-Smith. I do think he's a good fit, and I think he's only going to become more of an asset for the Lakers as the season goes on. But seeing what he had done so far this morning, I was talking about, I'm like, the guy really hasn't done much. And I haven't been able to be on one of these post-game shows and talk about his contributions and how I think he's going to be a great strength for the Lakers, how he could do it on the defensive side, plus on the offensive end. I really haven't had a chance to do any of that. So that portion has been a little bit surprising, frustrating that DFS hasn't had more of an impact so far for the Lakers. Excuse me there. So watching him tonight and seeing what his specialty is, I know what a lot of Laker fans are going to say. They're probably typing this in right now in the comments as I say it. Al, it's the Washington Wizards. You're not wrong. I'm not, question that it's the Washington Wizards. He does this against the Boston Celtics or something like that. Then you'd say to yourself, okay, yeah, that's the guy Lakers were trading for. But I think right now, just to see him hit 4 threes in a Laker jersey probably feels great for him. Seeing him go 6 of 8 from the field probably's got to feel great for him personally. And, if you're a Laker fan, we've seen this a lot, where players come to the Lakers in a trade, or they sign in free agency, or they get them in the buyout market, and all of a sudden they can't hit a shot for the Lakers. All of a sudden they can't contribute for the Lakers. All of a sudden, that bucket getter can't get a bucket, or that spot-up shooter can't hit a jumper if his life depended on it. Obviously don't want to see that with Dorian Finney-Smith, but there is a little bit of a history with the Lakers of having dealt with that in the past. So, again, they got Boston coming up on Thursday. We can see what Dorian Finney-Smith looks like in that game and what the rest of this Lakers squad looks like. But I still think it's nice to see Dorian Finney-Smith get some action, 22 minutes of play off the bench, and get you 16 points. So that portion of it was probably from an offensive perspective. It's only kind of real player that I looked at. I mean, AD doing work, not a surprise. LeBron doing work, not a surprise. Reeves, 16 and 8. I don't like that he took 15 shots to get 16 points and also had 8 threes, took 8 threes and only hit 1. I think this is the type of stat line for Austin Reeves that frustrates Laker fans. It's the stat line where it's high volume, taking a lot of shots, depending on a lot of threes. I think a stat line like this is not what you want to see from Austin Reeves. Nobody really else. Jackson Hayes contributed with 8 points. He was 3 of 3 from the field. But Gabe Vincent, 3 points. Max Christie, 5 points. Rui, 9 points. So really all the other players, nothing crazy or impressive. Dalton Connect hit a 3, and that was it. So nothing crazy for the Lakers, and that was kind of what they did offensively. Let me talk about Washington here real quick. It's kind of a funny team looking at this squad. To see this team to have their 2 best players be Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, yeah, you're not going to go very far. You're just not going to go very far. Do you guys remember the year Lakers won an NBA championship? Do you know where Kuz was ranked in the pecking order? He might have a good game here and there, but Kuz is probably the 6th, 7th, 8th best player on that team. Jordan Poole had great moments for the Warriors. It was probably about 5th, somewhere around there on that championship team that they had when they beat the Boston Celtics. So for the Wizards to hand these 2 guys the keys to the franchise tells you everything you need to know about the Washington Wizards. Complete rebuild mode. Obviously, I mean, they got to be sellers at this trade deadline. We'll see what kind of assets that they can get. But it's going to come down to drafting and developing, and we'll see what happens to the Washington Wizards. But, yeah, that's not a good team. I mean, that record 6-36. I mentioned 1 road win. They've lost 11 games in a row. Just a really, really bad team No other way to put it. So, of course, the Lakers were supposed to win this game. Top storylines coming out of it. Dorian Finney-Smith needing to get a W, and the Lakers did it. So, really, nothing else from that perspective. One other topic that I want to talk about in regards to the Washington Wizards. We've heard the name mentioned a lot around the Lakers. Of course, I'm talking about Jonas Valanciunas. I'm curious to get Laker fans' thoughts on Jonas Valanciunas specifically. Is this a player they like? Is this a player they would love to see on the team? Let me give you, if I'm just looking at stats, there are stats that I think would make the case that, hey, this guy could probably be a good fit for the Lakers. Let me give you some of those stats. So far on the season, here's what Jonas Valanciunas is doing. Just under 12 points a game, just over 8 rebounds a game, couple assists as well. Playoff experience, 58 playoff games in total, and he's averaged 13 and 10. He had some time, obviously, in Toronto, in Memphis. He's had a couple different stops now, obviously, with the Washington Wizards. I think he was with the Pelicans as well. So it just kind of gives you an idea of the teams that he's played for so far in his career. I think the stats on paper, those are good stats. And that's not going to happen. If he comes to Lakers, he's not going to average 12 and 8 just because how often is he going to get the ball? But I don't think he's going to be too far off from what that is. I think the bigger answer for the Lakers, or the bigger solution for the Lakers, is just having a player, kind of a bruiser that can be there next to Anthony Davis. Age-wise, he's 32. I think if, you just kind of pay attention to what he's done in that playoff experience that I'm talking about, I think that's helpful because the Lakers, clearly trying to win now. I don't think they're paying too close attention to what the future looks like. As far as his contract goes, he's in the first year of a 3-year deal. So you're going to have him until he's 34. Nothing crazy numbers-wise. About 10 this year, about 10 next year, and then about 10, actually 10 on the dot, in the 2026-2027 season. So if the idea and the concept is getting a young person that's going to be on the Lakers for a while, it's not going to be Jonas. If the idea is we need a player for this year and next year that we think can contribute in a playoff run, then it might be, a better fit. He's an interesting player. I don't know how much impact he would have on this team, but I will tell you, if he's on the squad, you got Dorian Finney-Smith as well, obviously the addition there. You're hoping Jared Vanderbilt is back sooner than later. I think it gives the team some flexibility of some different ways and styles to play. Do I think if they got Jonas, hey, watch out, Lakers are coming out of the West? No, I don't think that. But do I think they're better? Yeah, I think they're better. I'm going to remember something Dan Weike told me last week when he said, listen, they're not going to go out there, this blockbuster trade, but if you can get marginally better, you're 5%, 7% better than you were before the trade, then that's kind of the position that the Lakers are in right now. I don't think there's a move out there for them to go all in. I think a marginal move like this is probably most realistic and what Rob Pelinka is willing to do. And I also don't think the Lakers are going to stand pat. I don't. I had a video, or I was talking about this morning, that should the Lakers give up any more assets on this team? Well, I will tell you that the team hasn't really given the front office this unbelievable confidence to say, look, we're right there. We're right there. If you can just help us improve just a little bit more, we got as good of any team out there, as good of a chance as any other team out there in the Western Conference. I don't feel like that's the case for the Lakers, and I don't feel like there's a deal out there that's going to happen. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's just a great move that the Lakers make, and you're kind of looking at it like, wow, what a steal. And now they're going to go make a run in the Western Conference. But I don't think I have that feeling, and I don't think I have that feeling of something like that is going to be coming. So I would love your guys' opinion and thoughts on Jonas Valanciunas specifically. Tomorrow when I do my morning show, I'll mention some of these comments in the morning show. I'll read them. I know by then I'll definitely have kind of a good amount of comments that I can look at. So that gives you a little bit idea. Do I think he's going to be a crazy difference maker? Probably not, but I do think the Lakers would be better with him than without him. What would it take? What kind of move would it take? Probably financially, you're looking at more of a Gabe Vincent contract. I don't think the Lakers are obviously shopping Max Christie. I think they're going to try to keep, of course, Dalton Connect. Rui Hachimura is making too much money, so that just the contracts wouldn't work. So it would probably be more of a player like that. But they already got their issues too from a guard position and some ball handling. So we'll see what the Lakers eventually end up doing. Okay, so for the most part, I think that's really the details of tonight's game. And then, I wanted to add the piece about Jonas Valanciunas specifically because, like I was just saying, that's the name that's really been mentioned with the Lakers all season long. Do you guys know we are at the halfway point of the season? We're exactly 41 games in for the Lakers. So we're at the halfway point. This morning I was talking a little bit about it. Some things that I like halfway through the season. And then, certainly a list of things, if I'm being honest, that I'm not crazy about. This is what I said. Some of the things I do like as we hit the halfway point, 41 games in. So far, I'm a fan of JJ Redick. I got no issues with JJ Redick. Not perfect. Not going to tell you he's the next, Hall of Fame coach, but I'm curious. I'm interested. I don't walk out of games saying to myself, well, they lost that game because of JJ Redick, where maybe I felt that way in the past with some of the other coaches that the Lakers have had. Some other positive things that I would say, about this Lakers team. Their record and where they are in the Western Conference, to be honest with you, I'll take it. There have been a lot of times the Lakers have kind of struggled to stay in that, especially in the beginning of the season. They're always trying to make up ground. 23-18, kind of crazy. That actually is sixth place, and you got a little bit of a cushion. And I don't know what's going to happen with all the teams below them. Dallas has got to get healthy. Minnesota's all over the place. Phoenix is, probably going to go out and try to make some type of move. The Warriors, they got their own issues. The only team in that mix there, Sacramento, has won 9 of their last 10 games. That's the only team that looks like they're trending in the right direction. But sixth place in the Western Conference, 5 games over 500. It's not a terrible position to be in, even with how the Lakers have played. Now, some of my frustrations halfway through the season, I still don't know what this team is. Or maybe I do. Maybe I do. They're incredibly inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get game to game. They struggle against good teams. We know their record against teams above 500. So there's a lot of different ways to look at the Lakers right now. There's times where I don't think they show enough fight. They get hit in the chin and they don't do anything about it. A lot of role players that are wildly inconsistent as well. That one of their best players is 40 years old. That's a concern. So you got a number of different things that you could look at this Lakers team and tell you through 41 games you're concerned about. So exactly at the halfway point. Final thing I want to get into in tonight, like I mentioned, a shorter post-game show tonight. Was not able to do it live, but I wanted to make sure I got something up for you guys to kind of break down the game, and I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. But final thing I'll get into here real quick. You want to talk about a test. Next game coming up for the Lakers, the Boston Celtics. Boston 30-13 on the season. Playing okay ball lately. The Celtics last game, they beat up on the Warriors by 40. This is at home for the Warriors, so it's the worst home loss of the Steve Kerr era. But Boston's been a little interesting. A loss against the Hawks, win against the Magic. A loss against the Raptors, win against the Pelicans. Only by 1, by the way. Loss against the Kings, got blown out. That was a home game for them. They beat the Nuggets. They lost to the Thunder. They beat the Rockets. So they're just kind of almost 500. I think 6-4 in their last 10 games. The good news for the Lakers, Boston will be playing a second of a back-to-back. They got the Clippers tomorrow in Inglewood at the Intuit Dome. And then the following day on Thursday, they got the Lakers. But, listen, I've said this before, and every time I've said it, I think the Lakers have not come through. Maybe it happens again, but I will say it because I think it's important to point out. Certain games on the schedule during the year where it might just count as one game, but it means more. And for the Celtics, it's not just, it's Boston and it's their rivalry and, you think back of the Showtime era and even before that, and then you think back of the Kobe Powell days and their battles with the Boston Celtics. It's not even just about that. I think for the Lakers, it's more just about, can you start getting some W's against really good teams? I've used the term barometer games. I think every barometer game that I've mentioned, they've lost. Cavs, OKC, trying to think off a couple of games against Denver. I don't think the Clippers was a barometer game because I don't hold the Clippers to that high of regard. But, I mean, maybe I should hold them to higher regard. We'll see what happens tomorrow, too, as they take on the Celtics. But that's what Thursday is. Thursday, are you walking away on Thursday night saying, hey, that's a really good win for the Lakers? Damn, that's really impressive. It shows what their ceiling can be. That's just a phenomenal game for the Lakers. Give them a lot of credit. Or are we just having the same conversation we've been having, which is, yep, another good team and another L? So that's going to be the real test for the Lakers. That's going to be coming up on Thursday, and that's going to be a fun game, obviously to cover, and that's going to be a fun game to talk about. Just because of so many great storylines. But I know for a lot of Laker fans that are on this channel, they just want to try to get some W's and really feel better about the position that the Lakers are in, and to have kind of a couple games, a couple wins that you can look and say, remember that win against the Celtics? You need games like that during the regular season. Okay, that's all I got for tonight. 111-88 Lakers over the Wizards. Like I mentioned, if you got any thoughts on tonight's game, feel free to throw it in the comments. If you got thoughts on Jonas Valanciunas, if you got thoughts on what you think of this team halfway through the season, officially halfway through the season, please let me know. I would appreciate it. I'll try to use some of these comments tomorrow when I do my show at 8 a.m. Hope everybody has a great rest of your night, and I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody.